China's Maritime Militia, operating under the cover of civilian fishing vessels, plays a discreet but active role in shaping the strategic operations throughout the Pacific. Often overlooked, these state-backed units conduct surveillance, assert territorial claims, and enable military maneuvering without triggering direct confrontation, blurring the line between civilian and combatant while expanding China's influence in contested waters. This video was developed using research published by the U.S. Naval War College's China Maritime Studies Institute. Specifically, we drew from the China Maritime Report number 46, titled China's Fishermen Spies, Intelligence Specialists in the Maritime Militia by Ryan D. Martinson. The report offers a clear, well-documented look at how China's Maritime Militia functions as a covert intelligence network supporting the PLA across disputed waters. If you're interested in digging deeper into the source material, we highly encourage you to check it out. It's publicly available on the CMSI website and packed with details we couldn't fit into this video. A link will be in the description. Beijing relies on several different maritime forces: the Navy, the Coast Guard, and a lesser known but often more active force, the Maritime Militia. In this image provided by the Philippine Coast Guard, we see a coordinated gray zone operation. Chinese Coast Guard cutters, clearly marked in white hulls, form the first layer. They enforce Beijing's claims under the pretense of maritime law, but flanking them are blue-hulled vessels like the Sanshou. These are not ordinary fishing boats. They're militia assets, civilian on the surface but state-backed and directed. Together, these ships form a buffer zone, used to box in, crowd out, and intimidate vessels from other nations like the Philippine Coast Guard ship shown here. And their strength lies in ambiguity. The militia operates without naval flags, often blending in with legitimate commercial traffic. But under the surface, they're tied to China's military command chain, with crews trained to conduct surveillance, report contacts, and follow PLA directives. Let's take a look at some other images of these ships, and we can see how they differ from one another. Let's break down the key vessels involved in China's Maritime Militia. First up in the Sanshou class is the FT-16. It's built like a civilian support vessel, but its mission goes far beyond logistics. FT-16 is outfitted with advanced radar, satellite comms, and observation equipment, making it ideal for maritime surveillance and early detection, its hull numbers being in the 100s. Next, we have the FT-17. Slightly more compact, the FT-17 is typically used for near-shore ISR missions. It blends easily with other fishing vessels but carries the same secure comms gear and reporting structure to relay naval intelligence back to PLA command, its hull numbers being in the 200s. Finally, here's the FT-18. This ship is part of the same fleet family, but with heavier deck equipment and a higher radar profile. FT-18 is designed for long endurance patrols in contested zones like the Spratlys, quietly monitoring foreign naval activity, its hull numbers being in the 300s. Together, FT-16, 17, and 18 represent the bulk of China's gray zone maritime intelligence force, civilian in appearance but military in function. The Chinese Maritime Militia isn't just a loose group of fishing captains. It's a structured military-linked system organized from the top down. At the top of the hierarchy is the Provincial Military District, commanded by a PLA general officer. These districts oversee multiple sub-districts or garrison districts, each covering a portion of China's coastline. From there, control flows to the People's Armed Forces Departments, or PAFD. These are local-level offices embedded in coastal towns and ports. They serve as a direct link between the PLA and maritime militia units. Each PAFD manages several militia companies. A typical company consists of around 50 to 100 personnel and around 10 information vessels, all coordinated by a senior militia leader. Companies break down further into platoons and squads, each with assigned leaders. These small units are responsible for patrolling specific maritime zones and observing foreign vessels, feeding intelligence up the chain as well. This structure gives China the ability to mobilize, coordinate, and command thousands of civilian flag vessels across the near seas, while maintaining a layer of plausible deniability. It's not just a fishing fleet, it's a military reserve force built to operate in the shadows. Let's take a closer look at how one of these vessels is configured. At first glance, it may resemble a standard fishing ship, but looking closer, it's fitted with a range of features that appear to go beyond commercial needs. You'll notice a high-pressure water cannon fitted atop the main mast, a reinforced hull, multiple cranes, and an array of satellite dishes and radomes, features that appear to be added during or shortly after construction and not typical of civilian fishing vessels. Below deck, things get more serious. These ships routinely depart port armed with 2 50 caliber machine guns and 2 RPG launchers with an additional 20 rounds. It's clear this isn't just a fishing boat. It's a multi-role platform ready to support surveillance, harassment, or escalation, depending on the mission. In addition to their non-standard equipment, many of these vessels are believed to operate with a trained information specialist on board, tasked with a range of ISR-related activities. These crew members can gather intelligence on foreign ship movements using visual observation and radar, and in some cases, may be equipped to deploy or retrieve sonobuoys and even UUVs. One documented example occurred in 2014 when a Chinese maritime militia vessel recovered a U.S. Navy sonobuoy in the South China Sea, demonstrating the militia's potential role in surface and subsurface surveillance. There's also evidence suggesting these specialists use dedicated communications gear to transmit reports into a multi-source intelligence system, often via satellite uplink. While not equivalent to high-end ISR platforms, they can contribute critical cues that can feed into a broader PLA targeting and tracking effort. This diagram shows how fishing vessels, especially those with militia or dual-use roles, can plug into China's broader maritime intelligence network. At the vessel level, ships are equipped with terminals and tracking systems. These also bring together GPS and other onboard sensors to detect and record surrounding activity. The data then flows into a multi-source information system, which fuses input from land-based radars, optical tracking systems, the AIS cloud, and other sources. From there, the information is processed and routed through a target data server, paired with ship identity databases, and presented on integrated platforms. Authorized users can then assess targets, share data across systems, and push updates in near real time. It's a model where fishing vessels aren't just platforms, they're nodes in a surveillance grid. Here we see how these militia groups could be used in concert to plug critical maritime choke points across the First Island chain. By distributing surveillance and harassment tasks to these forces, China's Navy and Coast Guard are freed up for higher priority missions closer to the mainland. This creates a complex challenge for U.S. and allied planners. These vessels could, for example, deploy an entire field of sonobuoys, forming a difficult-to-predict ISR net that complicates subsurface and surface operations. And it's not just sonobuoys. These same platforms could be used to lay naval mines, deploy unmanned underwater vehicles, or act as persistent sensors at sea. If a serious conflict were to break out, many of these vessels would likely be rapidly reconfigured and equipped with more advanced sensors, communication tools, and weapons. Tracking these vessels is difficult, not just because they blend in with civilian traffic, but because of how they're deployed. One month they're trawling squid, the next month they're equipped with new radar arrays, SATCOM gear, or ELINT payloads. As China continues integrating SIGINT, optical, and acoustic tools into militia fleets, the line between surveillance and provocation only gets blurrier. For the U.S. and its allies, countering this tactic starts with better maritime domain awareness, leveraging persistent ISR, commercial tracking, and real-time data fusion. But it also means building a toolkit for the gray zone. Electronic warfare, legal messaging, non-lethal deterrence, and persistent naval presence that doesn't escalate, yet signals resolve. Because in the Indo-Pacific, it's not always about who has the biggest fleet, it's about who sees who first and who's willing to act just below the threshold of conflict.